Inside the impressive flagship location, Sport Chek at West Edmonton Mall, it's the panel. Gazzola, Stauffer, and Michaels bringing last week's Oilers action to you. We take a look ahead, as always, as well. Guys, the Oilers starting to win games, 5 of their last 7. They win in Minnesota, a building they historically, or at least over the last decade or so, have struggled in. And they're doing it with a goalie that received first-star honors last week and continues that hot play.
Well, he's giving the Oilers a chance to win every time he's out there, and that's Cam Talbot. I mean, in the Oilers' recent 5-3-1 stretch, they've given up more than 2 goals once. And in that game, they didn't score a goal. They didn't give him a chance to win the game. So Cam Talbot has been playing exceptionally well, and not just in the last 9 games. He had a bit of a lull there, but basically since mid-December, he's had the best save percentage in the National Hockey League. And when you've got a goalie playing lights out at better than a 93% clip between the pipes, you're going to have a chance to win the type of games that the Oilers lost for about a 4-month stretch. And those were those 2-1, 1-0 type of games. Edmonton's now won its 3 of the last 4 games that Edmonton has won. They've won by 2-1 scores. Those were the games they weren't winning, not just earlier this season, but for the past 6 or 7 years. So if Talbot's in there and continues to give him these type of games, Edmonton's going to ruin a lot of teams' hopes for the playoffs and seeding down the stretch.
Certainly put a dent in Minnesota's plans the other night. Bob, how about the defense? Because right now it's a patchwork of players right now, but they are getting the results. Darnell Nurse is still going to be out for the next 2 games. You've talked about Oscar Klefbom a lot. What are we seeing on D right now?
Well, I think that's what's made this most recent run a little bit more interesting to me. I mean, you just take a look at it, and Peter Chiarelli addressed getting the goaltending in the offseason, dealt with that at the draft when he picked up Cam Talbot, and then they were patient with Talbot as he transitioned to coming to Edmonton. He's added some size up front. The defense remains a work project for Peter Chiarelli, and right now, given the injuries on the back end, there is opportunity for some players, but it is also a major challenge for the Oilers and the Oilers coaching staff. It's adventures in babysitting out there. I mean, I know, Jack, last night you mentioned that...
Christina Applegate?
Yeah.
No. Elizabeth Shue.
Oh, Elizabeth Shue.
Come on, man.
How could you forget Elizabeth Shue?
Beautiful.
But I digress.
I like that movie.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
You take a look at the Oilers' defense last night, 3 D-men with a combined total of 74 games. And that doesn't include Nurse, who was sitting out with a suspension. But this is an opportunity and a window for the likes of Jordan Oesterle and Griffin Reinhart to make some noise here in the short term. And even a guy like Adam Clendenning or Adam Party, who's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. And Party's played 6 straight games, 20-plus minutes since coming to Edmonton after averaging 14 minutes. Oesterle, in my mind, Jack, he doesn't even look like the same player from last year. Much more competitive in terms of being able to do one-on-one battles. Defensively.
2 totally different guys. Party with the size, and Oesterle learning to play without it.
And then Reinhardt, you're waiting for him to be a little bit more assertive, but he is smart. There's no question he can process the game. So it's been interesting to watch. It does, though, however, remain a challenge.
Prior to the game in Minnesota, Tom McClellan was asked about the Wild and their dogfight for a playoff spot with the Avalanche, and he said before he looked at the Wild, he said, we got to worry about ourselves. We got to build here in these next 12, 13 games. And what exactly was he referencing, Bob? Because on the back end, you just mentioned the D, there's guys missing, the goaltending solidified. He must be talking about the forwards then.
Well, and he's looking for some chemistry. And, I think, Jack, we watched that game last night, and Jordan Eberle had 3 or 4 unbelievable looks in the first half of the game and actually played quite well. He likes playing with Draisaitl, and
Draisaitl can get anyone looks, especially when he's on his back.
And Patrick Maroon can protect the puck and gives him some size. The wild card in this is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who could return as early as against Arizona, and where he ends up playing and might be with Mark Letestu just to start to help out in the face-off circle. But the bottom line here is when Nuge comes back, they could have 3 different options for potential scoring units up front.
Well, they could do that, Bob, but the other thing they may do, and we've heard Todd McClellan allude to the fact that he didn't like and ultimately went away from playing Joe Pavelski as his third-line center because he didn't feel like he was getting him enough important minutes. And that's, as Nugent-Hopkins works himself back in the lineup, that's going to be another experimental period where you might see Leon Draisaitl go back to the wing.
A lot of options, good problem to have when it does present itself. Finally, 5-game homestand. The last homestand was a little bit lackluster. Guys, just let's take a peek ahead real quick.
To me, the Oilers don't even look like the same team right now that they did during that homestand. They're much more competitive. The players are engaged in the fight more, and their goaltender, as Jack mentioned, has given them a chance to win every night. It's not the sexiest recipe for success, but it is the fundamentals of winning hockey. You got to be competitive, and your goalie's got to give you a chance. They got to improve the one area that's got to get better. They got to get better on the power play.
And there's going to be some teams that Edmonton can quite frankly handle on this homestand. I mean, outside of St. Louis, there aren't teams that jump out at you as maybe teams that could overpower Edmonton. And I think, look, if I had one fearless forecast for you, I think Arizona's 23-game streak of getting at least a point against the Edmonton Oilers may come to an end on Saturday. If it's going to come to an end, it's going to come to an end on Saturday. The Coyotes are going to be on the back end of a back-to-back, and the Oilers need to take full advantage of that.
We'll see if the Oilers are able to pull that off. That game goes 8 o'clock Saturday night. Jack and Bob have the call for you, as always, on 6:30. Ched, I've got you covered right here on EdmontonOilers.com.